Tonight on NewsWatch, the president's health care plan and Planned Parenthood, how the new measure could be benefiting the abortion provider. Plus, destroying chemical weapons, what comes next for the war-torn country of Syria. And see how an amazing new laser treatment is saving the lives of people with brain tumors. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Good evening, I'm Lori Johnson. Give it some time. That's the message the Obama administration is pushing in the wake of the problematic rollout of the president's health care plan. And while time may fix the website issues for healthcare.gov, the president is already losing popularity among the public. A new Wall Street Journal NBC poll finds only 42% of Americans currently approve of his job performance. That is the lowest performance rating he's seen since taking office. 51% of Americans disapprove. And that disapproval number might be higher if more Americans realized how, under the Obama administration, government is channeling more money than ever to the world's biggest abortion provider. On Capitol Hill today, opponents of abortion set up a display to show how many babies Planned Parenthood kills each day. Paul Strand brings us the story.
Crosses filled the lawn in front of the Capitol building this Halloween day as quiet testimony to a specific kind of death.
We build this as what's the most scary thing in Washington, D.C. today. The most scary thing is our government gives $540 million to an organization that kills 915 children a day. That's over 335,000 a year.
That organization is Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood does an abortion every 95 seconds.
That one doesn't have a stake on that. There you go.
Missy Martinez of Students for Life helped set up the 915 crosses, marking Planned Parenthood's daily kill.
You hear the number 915 and you're like, oh, that's big, but then you see the actual layout of 915 crosses, and it's just very sobering. It hurts your heart when you realize it's that many children that die every day from abortion.
And that's just at Planned Parenthood. Students for Life helped sponsor this display, important because student-age Americans are the main customers for abortion and yet also the biggest opponents. Pro-life's hope for the future.
This is the generation that's being directly targeted by Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry. Ironically, though, this is the generation that is pro-life. They're least likely to actually favor abortion because we've seen the 3D ultrasounds of our brothers and sisters in the womb. We all know what partial birth abortion is. So we see abortion differently than previous generations.
Pro-lifers young and old keep talking about Planned Parenthood and its monumental amount of abortions because most Americans still don't know about it.
60% of the American public has no idea that Planned Parenthood provides abortions, let alone is the largest abortion provider in the world.
And that's with more than 70% of Americans saying they're against taxpayer funding of abortions. HHS Secretary Kathleen Sebelius was just on Capitol Hill testifying she's not sure about abortion funding under Obamacare. Hawkins smirks at that.
Abortion is covered in Obamacare and taxpayers are going to be funding it. But what's really interesting is the secretary herself wrote a memo this April mandating that all insurance providers cover Planned Parenthood and their services in the health insurance exchanges.
So they fill in like this little gap here.
These pro-life groups wanted to make sure they put up these crosses on the Capitol grounds because it's Congress that actually funds whatever government pays for.
And we're saying, look, 915 children die a day because of Planned Parenthood, and you help do it. You help fund this organization.
And with Obamacare, the tragedy is that money to Planned Parenthood will only increase.
The interesting thing is that the House of Representatives, which is majority pro-life, could defund Planned Parenthood any day it wants to. Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from Capitol Hill.
For more on this, Mark Martin spoke with Kristen Hawkins. She's the president of Students for Life of America. Take a look.
During her testimony yesterday, Kathleen Sebelius said she would provide to Congress a list of the health care exchange plans that do not cover elective abortion. So it sounds like there are some plans that do not cover abortion. Are you saying that's not true?
The Obamacare Act said that at least one plan in every state exchange could not cover abortions. What was interesting when they made this compromise, Congress didn't say which plan that had to be. It could be the Cadillac plan, or it could be the worst plan on the market, or it could be the most expensive plan on the market. So we don't know in many states what those plans are, where the pro-life plans are. So this will be really interesting to see what Kathleen Sebelius reports back to Congress, to see what types of plans in each state, the one plan, which one's the pro-life plan.
Now, you also say that the government has labeled pregnancy as a, quote, preventable disease in the health care law. So what does that mean in terms of what must be covered?
Because the Department of Health and Human Services called it a preventable disease, that means that contraception, so abortion-causing contraception, carcinogenic contraception, has to be covered at 100%. So regardless of your beliefs on contraception, every health insurance plan in America now must cover contraception at 100%.
What kind of money does Planned Parenthood stand to make under Obamacare?
Well, Planned Parenthood is already making over $500 million every year in taxpayer funding. With Obamacare, they stand to make hundreds of millions more. In fact, they're already even planning to open up new facilities and new centers, because Kathleen Sebelius sent a memo out to all the health insurance providers this April demanding that every single health insurance plan in the state exchanges have to cover Planned Parenthoods. And for everything. So we know there's going to be hundreds of millions that they stand to make. That's why they were such heavy backers of the bill and have been backing it ever since.
Is there anything that a private consumer can do to ensure that the plan they buy does not cover abortion?
Well, good luck. It's very difficult because in Obamacare, the law actually states that insurance providers are not allowed to advertise to you, the consumer, if abortion is in your plan. They are only allowed to tell you at the time that you sign up if abortion is in your plan or not. It is very, very difficult. That is why we are looking forward to see what Secretary Sebelius reports back to Congress in the next few weeks.
All right, Kristen Hawkins of Students for Life of America. We appreciate your time today, Kristen.
Thanks for having me.
The backlash from NSA spying allegations is threatening billions of dollars in trade for the U.S. Various European officials are calling for the suspension of the Safe Harbor Agreement. The agreement allows more than 4,200 American companies to do business in Europe. That includes internet giants like Apple, Google, Facebook, and Amazon. Also in jeopardy, President Obama's proposed transatlantic free trade agreement, which could add around $138 billion a year to the economy. Top EU officials say the trust needed to negotiate the trade agreement has been shattered. Iraq would like some help from America 2 years after the U.S. pulled out of the country. It now wants Washington to provide more weapons, training, and manpower. Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki says his country needs help to fight a resurgent al-Qaeda. He'll make that case to President Obama tomorrow in a meeting at the White House. Suicide bombers have launched nearly 40 strikes in the last month, and more than 5,000 Iraqis have been killed in attacks since April. Syria has completed the destruction of the equipment used to produce chemical weapons, but now comes a bigger task: destroying Syria's huge weapons stockpile. Meanwhile, residents of the war-torn country are trying to live normal lives despite the region's ongoing conflict. Caitlin Burke reports.
The international effort to eliminate chemical weapons from Syria is well underway. The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons says it's satisfied that all of Syria's chemical arms equipment has been destroyed.
The Syrian government has completed what we call the functional destruction of its entire chemical weapons making apparatus and water mixing filling equipment for use with sarin gas. So it no longer has the capacity to manufacture new chemical weapons agents, and it has not the capacity to utilize the precursor binary chemicals for sarin gas and to load those into munitions.
Now Damascus must start destroying existing weapons and stockpiles. Syria is believed to have around 1,000 metric tons of chemicals and weapons, including mustard gas and the nerve agent sarin. In September, the UN Security Council adopted a resolution requiring Syria to give up its arms. The resolution was in response to the Damascus poison gas attack in August that killed hundreds of people. Meanwhile, violence across Syria continues. But residents of Damascus say they're trying to keep life as normal as possible.
Of course, it's not easy, and every time we hear the sound of bombs and bombing and etc., it makes us feeling so bad about it. But life is going on, and we have to move on.
Even in a time of war, some Damascus residents venture out at night to the city's cafes, bars, and clubs. They say that while their fear is very real, life cannot stop. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
And just into the newsroom tonight, Israeli warplanes have attacked a military target inside Syria. According to security officials, the attack targeted Russian-made missiles. This is at least the third time this year Israel has launched an airstrike on missiles in Syria. Well, back here at home, airlines have been given the green light to expand the use of most portable electronic devices during all phases of flight. The Federal Aviation Administration made the announcement today, changing rules that have been in place for around 50 years. The FAA says a committee of experts determined most commercial airlines can tolerate radio interference from devices like cell phones. The changes will let passengers read, work, play games, watch movies, and listen to music.
To be clear that you still cannot talk on your phone during flight. The Federal Communications Commission governs cell phone use during flights, and the committee did not consider that issue. All devices should be in airplane mode.
The FAA says the committee did find in rare cases of low visibility that some landing systems may not be able to tolerate the interference. When that happens, passengers may be asked to turn off devices, but those cases only occur on about 1% of flights. Coming up, how a group called Mercy Chefs is still helping victims of Superstorm Sandy.
In 2008, my husband Gary departed for heaven. I was still grieving. And then to find out I had cancer, I began praying, God, how do I do this? Where do I do this? Cancer Treatment Centers of America was the place. Dr. Neelam outlined a plan that would take care of my mind and my body, and she prayed with me.
For Bible-believing Christians, we're able to pray with them in a much deeper way as they begin to really rely upon their faith.
At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we believe in the power of faith and prayer as indispensable allies in the fight against complex and advanced stage cancer.
I'm back in Telluride on the mountain skiing. I feel strong and healthy.
Advanced medicine and technology.
And I am a survivor.
The warm embrace of the Spirit and the power of prayer.
These are happy tears.
Please go to cancercenter.com/faith. Appointments available now. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Parts of Middle America are already underwater tonight, and a massive storm system working its way across the country isn't done yet. More strong winds and torrential rains are forecast overnight from the Great Lakes to the Gulf Coast. Meteorologists say isolated tornadoes are also a possibility. Parents say the weather is making them change their plans, as many were set to participate in trick-or-treating or fall festivals.
I have 6 kids. I don't want to drag them all out in pouring rain, so I'm considering just buying some candy, and that way they'll have candy even if we don't make it out the house.
Officials warn those who do brave the conditions to beware of water-covered roadways. This week marks 1 year since Superstorm Sandy devastated parts of the Northeast, and 12 months later, many victims are counting their blessings. Christians and churches are continuing to help those still in need. Thousands gathered in Coney Island this week to commemorate the life-changing event. Contributing reporter Russ Jones has the story.
When I first walked in my home, I just stopped like this. I'd stop, and I couldn't believe it.
It was late in the evening when Mary Gainey returned to her home in Coney Island, and she realized how bad the damage was. More than 180 lives were claimed due to the crushing waves of the superstorm and caused at least $65 billion in damage.
Just picture this refrigerator laying on the floor.
For several weeks, Gainey chose to live in her damaged home with no electricity and walls lined with mold until she eventually moved into temporary housing. Now, back in her home where she has lived since 2005, Gainey is grateful to God for his provision.
And I really started praying and just crying out to the Lord, because I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what was going to happen. So I was praying, said, Lord God, just keep us, help us, save us, and he did. He kept, not only me, my daughter, the other gentleman that was there, but he also kept, the church. He kept the church as well.
While this community may be feeling the after effects of Hurricane Sandy a year later, there are chefs from all over the nation gathering here today, preparing a meal for some 3,500 people, hoping to make life just a little bit brighter.
What do we got going in there? Beef. Sweet.
Started in 2006, Gary LeBlanc founded Mercy Chefs because he felt God called him to feed people. 1 year after Hurricane Sandy, he's returned to Coney Island to serve more than 3,000 residents as the community thanks God for giving them resilience for weathering the storm.
We can feed the best meal that we're capable of feeding, big, generous portions, and fill them up tonight, but tomorrow they're going to be hungry again. There's nothing I can do about that. But we also come with a message that can satisfy them for eternity, and that's what Mercy Chefs is really about.
And as the Mercy Chefs motto reads, feeding both body and soul, that's exactly what the Hurricane Sandy commemoration was all about. Feeding those in the community a good hot meal, and a diverse people coming together to praise God and acknowledging that God indeed calms the storms of life. In Coney Island, New York, I'm Russ Jones.
Up next, new hope for people with brain tumors. A look at this life-saving laser procedure.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Every year, about 67,000 people hear the devastating words, "You have a brain tumor." Doctors can safely remove many of them, but others are far more difficult to treat. Well, now there's new hope from the Cleveland Clinic for people with the most serious brain tumors. Here's tonight's Focus Report. Kenny Kokenauer always enjoyed excellent health, so he was shocked when this happened.
I was taking a shower and I fell. And my whole right side just kind of collapsed. So I went out, I opened the door, and because I knew something was wrong, and I opened the door and went out and fell in the hallway, and my whole right side for probably 3 or 4 minutes, I couldn't move anything on my right side. And so I knew then that I was in trouble.
Kenny had a brain tumor. When it comes to getting rid of brain tumors, a lot depends on where it's located. Tumors near the surface can often be completely removed, but ones further inside the brain are hard to reach and can sometimes be only partially removed or not at all. That's the kind Kenny had. He was given 1 year to live.
But, I knew I had to trust God. And, doctors are wonderful, but there's only one ultimate healer, and that's God. And so that's who I turned to, and put all of my faith in that.
Then Kenny got some great news from the world-famous Cleveland Clinic. He qualified for a promising surgery that, instead of cutting out the tumor, the surgeon leaves it right where it is, but inserts a tiny laser into it and burns it.
We so far have used it in patients where they have tumors which are located deep in the brain, which are difficult to get to or remove in totality due to the location.
It's called NeuroBlate. The patient is in an MRI machine. With great precision, a thin laser probe is inserted through a tiny hole in the skull. Using a computer screen, the surgeon steers the probe to the tumor. The tip of the probe releases laser energy sideways, heating and destroying brain tumor tissue in one direction while cooling and protecting normal tissue near the tumor. Kenny was only the second patient to have this treatment done.
I had been praying without ceasing, as the Bible says. I was praying without ceasing. And then I felt a relief. I felt that God spoke to me and said, it's going to be okay. And that's kind of where it's taken from there. I've been, the surgery went great. And I haven't had any problems since.
That was nearly 2 years ago. If you've been diagnosed with a brain tumor and are wondering whether NeuroBlate might be your solution, you can be evaluated right from the comfort of your own home. Just call the Cleveland Clinic's NeuroBlate hotline.
We generally ask them to mail in a copy of their recent MRI, which shows how large the tumor is or where is it located. And then my neurosurgery colleagues evaluate the films. And if we think that we can perform the procedure, we generally ask the patients to come to Cleveland Clinic.
Kenny's imbalance and loss of movement in part of the body are two of the hallmark symptoms of a brain tumor. Others include vision problems, hearing loss, speech difficulty, a new seizure, or a headache that won't go away.
Any of these symptoms can basically alert someone to at least go and have an initial consultation with their primary care doctor.
Although doctors know the symptoms of brain tumors, they don't know why people get them. Studies indicate they may come from cell phone use, living near power lines and transformers, exposure to petroleum products like plastic, or ingesting chemicals added to our food and drinks. However, none of that research is conclusive. Kenny has no idea why he got his brain tumor, but believe it or not, he's glad he did. and is grateful God led him to the neuroblate treatment.
I was always busy at work. I'd give it 60, 70 hours. And this whole experience completely changed my life to where, I try not to work those hours, spend time more at home with the family, more time with our church. So it's basically got my priorities straight.
One added bonus about the neuroblate treatment, it costs less than traditional surgery. And we'll be right back.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
What could have been a horrible tragedy turned out like a modern-day Good Samaritan story. A woman was about to take her own life, that is, until an ordinary bus driver asked if she was okay. Darnell Barton saw a woman standing on an overpass ledge, apparently contemplating ending her own life. A walker passed, a biker passed, but Darnell did not. He stopped his bus in the middle of a busy street to talk to her. When she did not respond, Darnell went to her. Footage shows the bus driver helping her off the ledge, then sitting down to talk with her.
And I basically told her, there's nothing that serious. And, where she was a dangerous place. I gave her some encouraging words. I grew up in the church, so, I kind of in the background heard my mom's voice. The Bible says, be ready in season and out of season. You have to be ready. If you got time to do anything, you got time to do the right thing.
Darnell's bus riders are mostly high schoolers. They were all clapping for him when he returned. That's all the time we have for this edition of NewsWatch. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone.